Wide Web. Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to the Hanging with Web Show Live special edition today. We are going to be kind of, I guess you'd call it reviewing, reacting, reminiscing, all of the R words. We're going to be doing that for the Mandalorian Season 2. We're going to bring you up to speed. We have an amazing panel to discuss this. Please welcome the new HWWS Web TV Mandalorian Council from Saturday Morning Cartoons, a Star Wars fan, a celebrity host from Mark Knows Everyone here on HWWS Web TV. Here is the one and only Mark B. Lee.
Hey.
Mark, how are you today, man? Great to see you. Oh, look at that. Wanted. I know it's a dead or alive situation these days, too. So, yeah.
How you doing, Garrett?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you doing over there?
Excellent. I'm great. It's my football Sunday.
Football Sunday. Oh, my.
What'd she say?
She's a Steelers fan.
Yes, go Steelers.
She's a Steelers fan.
Nobody's perfect. There's a lot of mental illness in this world, so that's cool.
There is. Guys, please welcome to the screen from Nerd Culture and from Ryan's Nerd Interviews here on HWWS Web TV. Please welcome to the screen Ryan Permisson. How are you today, sir? Yeah, welcome.
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me. I found out not so long ago that I was going to be on the show so well that I dressed up for this occasion because I'm wearing this shirt here. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's the wrong property. I'm in the wrong studio. This must be the wrong script that I've been given. But other than that, I'm just happy to be here, man. Because you know what they say on the interwebs these days: this is the way.
This is the way. That is right. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the screen from HWWS Web TV's Reels and Heels. The hosts themselves, Mrs. Nicole Jobin and Mr. Brian Wenslaw.
Hey. You had another kid. You had another kid. Oh, God.
It doesn't take them very long. They move fast. They move fast. Guys, how are you today?
We're good.
We're pretty good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, guys, what we're going to do today, and go ahead and let's there you go. No, we lost. Who did we lose? We lost Ryan.
Yeah.
We lost Ryan. Okay. So, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Ryan will come back in a moment, but we happen to have with us, from Saturday Morning Cartoons and from guest spots on all other shows. Please welcome Jerome Connor to the screen.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Jerome is here, and Ryan is back. Wonderful. Jerome, how are you today, man?
I am fine. I am sorry I am late, but I blame Mark.
I blame Mark all the time.
No. The reason I'm blaming Mark is Mark reminded me that there was football on today, and I was watching the game, and I got distracted. So I blame Mark.
Understand. And your favorite team, Jerome, would be, who are you rooting for?
I'm a Patriots fan.
You're
this is where Mark and I get at each other. Yes.
I was bad.
Oh, wow. And Mark, who's playing today that you're rooting for?
I am watching Ravens as we speak.
Watching the Ravens, and of course, Sage is here. Please welcome to the screen, guys. Sage, from right here in the Hanging with Web Show studio. Say hello.
Hi, Sage.
That's right.
I like that.
And, as Ryan comes back, I'm going to ask Jerome real quick, though. Sage, would you drop Jerome a script, please?
Ooh, a script?
Will you do that? Okay. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to break down the Mandalorian Season 2. We're going to catch up. We're going to catch up with where we are right now. We're going to start with Episode 1 and work our way to the latest episode 4. Mark, Episode 1. This is your bailiwick, brother. Let me turn it over to Mark B. Lee.
Hey guys, as much as I have been a Mandalorian fan last year, or shall I say last season and this season, there's nothing negative that I can say about this series right now. We are expecting up and downs with episodes and so on, but this season started off with a bang. I was just thoroughly impressed with what I saw. There is just not enough time in my segments to even point out all the Easter eggs, but this segment was called the Marshal. And for obvious reasons, if you see my eyes kind of dot away, it's because I have a football game on and I have another laptop with my script on it. So bear with me. This episode called The Marshal, and the reason it was called The Marshal is because it's based on character by the name of Cobb Vanth, Vanth, and he was portrayed by a well-known actor, believe it or not. His name is, although I've always laughed at his last name because I think of Lord of the Rings every time I hear it. His name is Timothy Oliphant. Oliphant, as in elephant, Oliphant. Timothy Oliphant. And Timothy, if you remember him, he was in one of my favorite HBO series called Deadwood. He, in fact, was a Marshal then. He went on to be a Marshal in Fargo, I think, and he was a Marshal in another series called Justified. Okay, so Timothy Oliphant obviously is, like I said before, the brand name for this episode. It seems that the Mandalorian is still trying to find the people that little baby Yoda belongs to. He got word that there were other Mandalorians somewhere who can help him find the way because he obviously needs help. And where does he go? He goes to the originating planet of Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen, and that was Tatooine. Tatooine, of course, is where Luke Skywalker was raised. He wasn't born there, but he was in fact raised there. So he shows up at this town and he walks into this bar and he asks the bartender basically, hey, I understand there's some Mandalorians here. Can you direct me to one? Lo and behold, as he turns around, there's a Mandalorian that's standing right in the doorway. And that Mandalorian, who happens to be Cobb Vanth, is wearing armor that's very, very familiar to all of us who are huge fans of the original 3 Star Wars series, mainly the second one and the last one. And that is armor being worn by Boba Fett, which Timothy Oliphant, or I should say Cobb Vanth, is wearing. Long story short, the plan is to, number one, the Mandalorian wanted that armor back because he realized that that belongs to his, what we now know as cult, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in another segment. Come to find out, once Oliphant, or Cobb Vanth, I have to call him by his character name, sits down and takes that helmet off, which is a no-no, okay, in the Mandalorian religion, the Mandalorian wants that gear back. Once again, discovers that this town has been was being invaded by the wonderful, fantastic, very elaborate villains / good guys known as Tuskens, or the Tusken Raiders. Tusken Raiders has been invading that village. The Mandalorian makes a pact between the villagers and the Tusken Raiders to fight something that is very, very treacherous and dangerous to both camps, being the Tusken camp and being the human camp, or whatever camp. And it's some sort of giant dragon, somewhat like the sandworms in Dune, okay, but a lot more treacherous. I guess I can finish off this review by saying that the two camps join forces. They fight this crate dragon, as it's called, crate dragon, and eventually destroys it. But there's a lot of things that happen in between that, which would take too long to try to describe in a 10-minute segment. Okay, Garrett, how should I follow up with this? I guess ask everyone's opinion.
So yeah, we want to find out what everybody thought of those amazing scenes, and we'll start with you, Mark, right at the top. So big highlight for you. What was it? What was a big moment for you that you saw?
I guess the big highlight for me was the two camps coming together and destroying the crate. Spoiler alert, if you have not seen season 1, you shouldn't be watching this show at all if you don't want to know anything about the upcoming 4 or 5 episodes. But when the Mandalorian basically destroyed this crate dragon, it was a big scene for me of how he did it. How he emerged as the champion amongst both these camps. And I was really, really happy. I think I gave it a score of, if I remember correctly, 8, I think. 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 for this episode. I want to ask, I'll go to the top of the screen that I'm looking at. Brian and Nicole, both of you guys, what are your thoughts of this episode and possibly a score?
Well, I thought the episode was really good. It was nice to see Timothy Oliphant. As they would say, it was Raylan in space. We're huge Justified fans, and so not much difference in the character, like his draw. wearing the Boba Fett armor was really cool. I think something that stood out was seeing the original C-3PO on the Jawa's. I forgot what the Sandcrawler, I believe, is what it's called.
Sandcrawler, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that was like a little Easter egg to the Star Wars fans. But as a score, I would say a solid 7.5 or an 8 as well.
It was
Very
a
good.
solid 8 for me. But like I wasn't a huge Timothy Olyphant fan, so yeah, I was kind of stuck. But another big draw for me was the color. Like on the backdrop of a sand planet, having the red and the blacks pop so much. Like that was something that, you see a lot of monotone, mono color, monochromatic, in Tatooine. And so it's just nice to see like that, a really deep red and a deep color like there was this time.
Yeah.
Cool.
I really thought it was cool.
I want to make note that there was also a well-known actor who portrayed the role as one of the gangster guys in the Fight Club pit. He was the I think he was called an Apsian. I can't really remember the name of the race, but he's a Cyclops basically. That was John Leguizamo, if you did not know, who portrayed that role of the mobster who ended up getting torn to pieces by creatures we did not even see. All we saw were red eyes, and I figured they were Jawas with rabies, okay, that probably who came after him and you. Sage, what did you think of this episode?
I had so much fun with this. I loved that we were back on Tatooine. I thought that was really cool. Baby Yoda, when he's grabbing those little frogs, which are the same ones that Jabba used to eat out of the jar, was an excellent throwback, I think, to the series. And it was just nice to have that action to, as we had all talked about, to see some Star Wars in our Star Wars.
Awesome beans. And Garrett, I'm going to go ahead and move down to you. And like I said before, there were so many Easter eggs in this episode that I can't even begin to get into it because it would take too long. So Garrett, what'd you think?
Oh man, I love this episode. I thought this was a great way to bring us into season 2. And for a lot of reasons, there are a lot of things that I think fans have been waiting for because of the Mandalorian series. And one of them was the idea of Boba Fett and that armor, seeing that armor come onto screen for the first time. And since we saw Boba Fett going, falling into the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi, he's got such a rich story history. And it was really nice to see that armor come on screen. For the first time. I think we have a clip actually of the armor of the first time we see him, when fans don't quite know if he's the Marshal character or if he's Boba Fett. We don't know anything yet. He hasn't removed his helmet yet, but here's the first time in the bar that Mark was telling you about that we see him.
Cool.
What brings you here, stranger? Why don't you join me for a drink?
And of course, we don't know at this point. Is it Boba Fett? Is it whatever?
Sure.
We hear the accent a little bit. We know that it doesn't quite sound like that Australian accent, but we don't really know. And that was a great fan moment. Nice chills if you're a longtime Star Wars fan. And then, of course, the action sequence that Mark talked about. That action sequence when they are taking on the sandworm dragon.
Crate dragon.
That was wonderful. And I think we also have a clip there. Wait.
Okay.
We have a YouTube clip from that of the defeat of the crate dragon.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Where'd that music come from? Love it.
Sounds like Godzilla music.
It is Godzilla music.
So
that is awesome. That was Godzilla music.
It really
and the music goes well with that clip.
It does. That was excellent.
There.
All right, real quick, I want to move on to Jerome here real quick, and so I can go ahead and end my segment. Is there another clip that's associated with this segment, or do we move to the next guy?
No, we have a couple. You can go ahead and move to Jerome, and if he mentions anything, we'll get a clip for you.
Gotcha. Jerome, what did you think of this episode, which was season 1, or rather season 3, episode 1?
Season 2, episode 1.
That too. That's what I said.
To me, the highlight of me wasn't the critter that they went and killed. It was the showdown in the bar. I mean, that was old West, 1950s old West that you, me, and Garrett grew up with. Okay,
Clint Eastwood, dude.
Clint Eastwood, James Arness, and Gunsmoke, High Noon. Yeah. That's what that was to me. That's how that entire thing felt like a Western. Okay, it was really strong. Now, I enjoyed 3 little notes in there also was when they killed the critter, what did they all go for? Another egg.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, another egg. We got to see the red R2 unit from
first Star Wars, A New Hope.
Yep. And what was the other one? There was one other thing that I was saw, and now I've blanked it. But there was one other thing that I thought was really fun. But to me, it was the Western feel of, the we're about to have the draw. That would have been, to me, would have been the whole crux of this episode was we're in the Old West. And that's what Tatooine is a Western town.
Yeah. We also know we're in the future as well. Oh, go ahead, Jerome.
Yeah. The line that I loved was the critter, whatever they called him, they said, he's in a Sarlacc's cave. Well, you can't get rid of Sarlacc. Yes, you can if you eat the Sarlacc. If you're a Crate
Dragon. Yes, if you eat the Sarlacc. Yes, that was fantastic.
Yeah, so those are my points.
Yeah.
Did I just add a fun fact?
Who said that? Oh, go ahead, Brian. Hello.
Yeah, the Crate Dragon is not the first time we've actually seen a Crate Dragon. If you remember the original Star Wars, the bones in the desert is a Crate Dragon. So this is the first time we actually see a live Crate Dragon in the Star Wars universe.
And also in episode 1, to top that the sound that the great Crate Dragon makes is the same sound that Obi-Wan Kenobi made to save Luke Skywalker's life in New Hope. So that's how you
get the Tusken Raiders away.
To scare those away. But like I said, there's so many Easter eggs in this that I can't bring them up. I would implore people to go on IMDb and click on their trivia section there. And that will take you, a good couple minutes to go through all of the Easter eggs, because there are a ton of Easter eggs in that, especially the ending, which is we see someone from a Star Wars movie who is, in fact, Boba Fett.
Well, it's implied. We don't know if it is.
And that we have a clip of. That we have a clip up right here.
Cool. Okay, I'm done. That is, in fact, Tamora Morrison, who was Jango Fett in Clone Wars, I do believe. Well, whatever, the Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry. And everything is implied, but I think it's pretty much that's Boba Fett.
That's Boba Fett. Yeah. It was nice. Remember, we did learn in that Star Wars episode that Boba Fett is actually one of the clones, an unarmed clone for Jango.
Correct.
And so the young Boba is there, and it would make sense that he looks like the other clones, and also he looks a little battle hardened because, of course, being swallowed by a Sarlacc does that to you. Probably.
Yeah, the acid and whatever's in that damn thing's gut.
He's also the only unaltered clone.
Yes, he's unmodified. So
that is correct.
Which means he hasn't probably aged as fast as the rest of them did either.
Yeah. Okay, before I stop, I got one negative that I want everyone to remember in this episode, and that is anyone who takes a helmet off and his hair is absolutely perfect, that ain't real life. I just want everyone to understand that Star Wars has now disappointed me. It's no longer real life because his hair was freaking perfect, and that ain't right.
Mark,
wait a minute. Star Wars is not real life? Oh.
No, it's not.
Mark,
I've been lying my whole life.
Mark, if you take your hat off,
Mark,
he had no hat hair, okay, no helmet hair.
And neither do you.
Well, my fro's not big enough, but look at his hair. There ain't a freaking dent in that dude's head. So
lots of spray. Lots of spray.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so
Perfection.
much for leading us through episode 1. We have a break to take, and when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to dive into episode 2. So don't look away. Don't tune out. Stay in. We're going to go over episode 2 right after these messages.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Us Love Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
What was it you promised your old man?
Never give up. Do something they'll never forget. I'm afraid I am a coward. I'm sorry for everything.
Meg,
This is my
you'll
moment.
be missed.
If I had done this a long time ago,
A true movie-land tragedy.
it would have saved a lot of pain.
Peg Entwistle, known for her spectacular Broadway performances and a promising movie career, is gone.
They'll never forget this.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
And we're back, everybody. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in and being with us today as we catch up on The Mandalorian Season 2. I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here and for sharing. Please hit those shares and those likes and get them out there. In the first segment, we talked about Season 2, Episode 1, The Marshal. We are going to bring our panel back up as we get ready for Season 2, Episode 2. And here we go. Add everybody back in. Wonderful. Now, guys, our panel, once again, from top to bottom, we have Brian and Nicole from Reels and Reels. Right here on the set, we have the one and only Sage Ia from the Hanging With Web Show. We have Mark B. Lee from Saturday Morning Cartoons, and Mark knows everybody. Mark knows everyone on the internet, everyone. So there are 7 billion of us on the planet. Mark knows 6.85 billion. I don't know how, but he does. And then, of course, from Saturday Morning Cartoons, once again, we have Jerome Connor down there. Thank you so much. This segment originally was scripted for the one and only Willow Schuyler from Willow's Pillow Talk, who could not be with us today. Sadly, some of our HWW's Web TV team members have to do that day job thing, and she was called into the actual job today.
Wow,
Hefty work.
You know, so. However, to lead us in this segment, and of course we lost Ryan Permisson from Nerd Culture to the internet gods, who apparently do not like him very much. But what we do have from Saturday Morning Cartoons, we do have Mr. Jerome Connor to lead us through episode 2. So, Jerome, come on up, man.
Oh wow. Okay, so episode 2. Basically, now that he has gotten the armor from from Boba Fett, he's got as payment for the baby, as I call it, babysitting payment, because they're babysitting the child. He's got it, and a guide to the next step in his search for more Mandalorians. He's got to take this frog person and her eggs in a giant pickle jar, is how I describe it. Off to another planet and cannot go at hyperspeed, which I'm still trying to figure out that one. At which point they go along. There's some humor and controversy concerning the baby, which I will let the council discuss. We get my favorite. We get to see some X-Wings in a chase scene with the Mandalorian. We crash on an ice planet. And as my wife says, the ugliest, scariest part of this episode, which is the giant spiders, which I'm not going to get into other than just say Shelob-sized spiders, for those of you Lord of the Rings fans.
Yeah.
We get our ship wrecked, which is kind of hysterical, trying to figure out how that thing's getting off the ground. And off we go. Now, that's the quickest thumbnail. The details can be from the people here can talk about the details. I'm going to be, unlike Mark, I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to start with Garrett.
Wow. Okay, so my my favorite part of this episode is, I think I'm with Jerome, meeting the New Republic officers, the X-Wing pilots. I love that they seem to have a great moral code about them. I also love that despite that great moral code, they're just guys. They're doing their job. So when Mando later on, for no spoilers here, guys, but when Mando wants a favor later on, the answer is no. We got other things to do. We're like patrolling and stuff. Plus, whatever. We're not going to help you with anything. However, the good news was we're not going to arrest you because we do have the reports about your participation in the end of season 1. And so we are not going to arrest you. However, we're just not going to help you either. So I loved that. I thought that was really great. I think there's a clip. I think we have a clip of our X-Wing pilot. Okay. So when she's finding it, and then Dina will put it up. But in the meantime, yeah, I really, there we go.
Kim.
Okay, so that's great. The only thing I have to add to what Garrett said was it was nice to see that they could hit the broadside of a barn when they were shooting their rifles. So, all right, Garrett, do you have anything else you want to add to this before I move on?
No, I do. The only thing I want to say is I know that there was a lot of hubbub on the internet about this particular episode in particular. I want to show the world here, the HWW SWF TV audience, the ferocious, evil, nay, just ravenous appetite of our favorite, the child, Baby Yoda, as he's becoming known on the internet. By the way, for everybody out there, we do all know here on the council that it is the child, but Baby Yoda is just so much easier to say. But here's Baby Yoda in his ravenous self. Don't play with your food. That was actually not don't play with. That was the wrong one.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, but anyway, Jerome, we did see. So anyway, those were the things that I enjoyed the most there, Jerome. So
okay, great. Mark, what's your thoughts?
This season my least favorite. And I have to tell you that I did turn myself around because during this episode, I was so angry with Baby Yoda. I was so until I was educated. And the education was, okay, Mark, but he was eating unfertilized eggs. All right, so everything I'm cracking open in my skillet, okay, I shouldn't feel guilty over because it tastes so good and it's not a real person. I mean, I could just see all the freaking activists going crazy out there going, what the hell is that kid doing? I was really angry with Baby Yoda. I found this shirt, okay, today in Walmart. Today I found this shirt in Walmart. And it was like, yes, this is how I used to feel. But once I was explained that it was an unfertilized egg, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll go ahead and reduce my level of anger and basically say to myself, okay, they're telling me he really didn't do anything wrong. This episode got so much backlash by everyone imaginable just because of what Baby Yoda was doing. And I agree with them 100%. I'm like, you little, I don't care if you are 50 years old, I will kick your ass, simple as that. And other than that, the only other complaint that I have was, okay, as they were running out of the cave from these giant freaking spiders, Okay, the frog lady was running like you're a frog, and then like a light switch went on in her brain. She pretty much went, "Oh, I can run now. Oh, look at me, I can run." Okay, so it was my least favorite episode, but nonetheless, it's The Mandalorian. I like them all, but that was my least favorite.
Okay, Sage.
Well, I kind of agree with Mark after going through them now. That one was probably my least favorite out of all the episodes, except that he did eat the eggs, which I was like, as soon as he went over, I was like, oh, you know what's going to happen. He's been eating everything lately because he's just a kid. And I didn't have Mark's reaction because I think that was normal. But this one, to somebody in the chat earlier had mentioned that the first episode kind of felt like filler to them, but this is the one that kind of felt like filler to me.
Yep.
We get to the end, of course, and they have to conclude it to episode 3. But I liked it. Poor Baby Yoda, the child. I don't think he can do very much wrong because he has to be taught.
Okay.
I was so praying for a chest burster. That's what I was praying for.
I was waiting for the face hugger.
Yeah, when he opened up the egg,
it was totally alien.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. That was what we discussed here at my house. Is that we're going? Oh my God, it's going to be a face hugger. He's going to eat a face hugger. So all right, Nicole and Brian.
Well, didn't it happen when he says "Don't play with your food"? Isn't it because it is on his face like that?
That's the third episode. That's the next episode.
That was awesome.
I just have to say that as a mom, it was one of those episodes where you're like, I think I've said some variation of that to my children. Or I've been like, don't do that, like stop that, kind of thing. So
But on this episode, those ice things, she hates spiders.
So does my wife.
I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm like, this is gonna be bad because I saw the eggs, like he was getting into the eggs, and I'm like, this never ends well for kids in the first place. So why would this be any different? And it opened up, and this thing came on, and I'm like, and then there were all of them, and I was like, oh my God! And then there was a huge one, and I'm just like, I'm done.
Really, just waiting for Ron Weasley to come running by.
In my house, we were waiting for Samwise to sort of stick, the
come to the rescue.
Yeah. Okay.
We do have some spider footage here for.
Oh, excellent!
Yay!
Excellent.
I have no problem with spiders.
Beautiful spider footage.
Show them all. Put some lipstick on them. Get the hobbits. She's running like a normal person.
She's been overrun already.
Look, she's running. Come on. That a girl. That a girl. She remembers.
I had a couple of thoughts when I was watching this. Not only is there Lord of the Rings, but I also had I don't know if you remember the movie Lost in Space with all those little spidery creators.
Yes.
That also came to mind too as I was watching that.
The remake movie Lost in Space, yes.
Right. So, all right, that's pretty much it for episode 2, folks. There's more to talk about, I'm sure, but I see our time is running out for episode 2.
All right, yeah. Okay, guys. Well, when we come back, we're going to dive into episode 3, which for a lot of fans, this was a fan favorite this season. So we're going to dive into episode 3 when we come back. In the meantime, stay tuned in and stay logged on. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Beautiful, seductive, and ruthless, Lucy has a rap sheet as long as her golden blonde hair. She will do anything to stay out of jail. Her intentions are good, but the devil inside her takes over. Enter Nicholas, a man of God. He is naive and hopes to lead the sultry Lucy into the light. But the devil of St. Gabriel has other plans. This thrilling suspense novel is merciless, twisted, and absolutely gripping. Get your copy of The Devil of St. Gabriel by Joanne Fisher today. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Back Talk with Bauer. I am Josh of J. Bauer Art, the host of this crazy mess I call a show.
Back Talk with Bauer. Interview. observations, insights, discussion, and lots of antics, hijinks, and shenanigans. It's all on Back Talk with Bauer.
I will catch you guys later.
What would you do?
Are you ready?
Isolated from one another,
Disconnected from help
surrounded by destruction.
and devastation.
Alone in the dark. War looming over the world.
Between ruination, reconstruction, and retribution. Is there solace in solitude?
Would you find strength in each other? Will you survive?
Yesterday's Tomorrow. Available on Amazon.com today.
And we're back, everybody. That's right. We will continue our discussion of The Mandalorian Season 2. In the last segment, we wrapped up Episode 2, the incredibly controversial, ravenous impulses of Baby Yoda, and, of course, our reintroduction, if you will, to our X-Wing pilots, the officers of the New Republic. And now we're on to Episode 3, which I know was a fan favorite for everybody. Leading us through Episode 3 from Reels and Heels is Brian Wensloff and Nicole Jobin. Welcome, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
So you want to go ahead and do the description?
This episode was called The Heiress, and I was so excited. So we open up seeing the Razor's Crest approach the planet and take that hard entry, right?
Yeah. I mean, wasn't even going to make it. That was what I was thinking.
He was like, if we don't burn to a crisp first, like, we all expected the worst, but they look like they're going to have a decent touchdown, and then they fall into the water.
Yes.
And they're pulled out by an AT-AT crane.
Yeah, which that was really cool to see.
Oh my gosh, Brighton's face when this happened was amazing. He was like, "It's a walker!" I'm like, my kids are Star Wars fanatics too, but
and then there's a calamari is there.
Yeah, Mon Calamari.
And then he says, "Can you fix it?" Yeah, yum.
Well, I love that he continues to say Dink Ferrick the whole time. And then later on it said again. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stop saying the F word and I'm gonna start saying Dink Ferrick instead. But so the Mon Calamari
he says I can put fuel in it.
He says, well, I can make it fly. He says, I'll fuel it up if it still holds fuel. So there were just so many like little quippy, like really just, it was.
Yeah. And like the village kind of reminded me of like somewhere like in Massachusetts or Maine. It looked like it
had a fisherman's kind of like feel.
Yeah.
And it was wet and gross, kind of looked like Seattle.
Yeah.
But
and during that scene we see, we're wrestling fans, so we see Sasha Banks in a cloak there standing.
That wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It
was Sasha Banks.
Yes, that was Sasha Banks.
Yes, it was.
So I made notes, and clearly we are not doing a very good job of following them.
But anyway,
we and then
the frog lady's there.
The frog lady is there, and then it reunites the couple, the frog couple. Which the music at this point is something that I never heard in The Mandalorian before. It was something more melodic and a little bit slower and a little bit lighter.
It brought tears to your eyes.
I did. I cried a little bit. And the fact that they were able to make some, rubber costume look that feeling, I think that's a testament to this show too, is that faces are covered so often in the show that you can feel the feelings that are coming from the actors. So that's a huge pull for me. What else do I need to say?
Well, he asked the husband, I was told
Have
that
you
you could
met
see
the Mandalorian?
Mandalorians, and he points him off to the bar, and they go into the bar. And this is where it comes to the scene where they're eating, and he tells him not to play with his food. But
I love this.
so he talks to I guess he was a bartender, and had asked, have you seen More Like Me? And he had offered him money for information. And I don't remember the name of the characters with the little things, but they had come over and said, yeah, I can take you to them. It's, you have to go on my boat. And basically they're off on the boat, and he's like, oh, have you ever seen, did you write
Mama Core, yeah.
a Mama Core eat
Mama
before? And so they come over, and he knocks the child into the thing, and then Mando goes after him, and they close up, and so it's like gloom and doom looking for the Mando, and then
Until the arrival of the rest of the trio.
The trio of Mandalorians, which one of the characters, like I said, is played by Sasha Banks.
Mercedes Bernardo.
Yes, Mercedes Bernardo's.
And
we see a very, very familiar face to the Star Wars canon. If you're a fan of Rebels and the Clone Wars, you definitely know this character well.
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, that's right. Which he kind of is like, who are you?
They're Quarren.
Quarren. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. But he was looking at her when she took the helmet off, because he's like, that's not the way.
It's like the gas. And that's when we are basically, kind of led into the thing that there's a sect of the Mandalorian that are called the Watch. And they're a little bit more of as Bo-Katan says, they're a zealot group that wants to go back to the oldest ways, the more sacred ways. So
yeah, and he had asked her how she got the armor. She said it's been in her family for 3 generations.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, just the music on this whole episode was very well done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting lost in my words here. We find out that there is Imperials, and that Bo-Katan needed to get to the ship, and Mando, would help if she gives the information, and she would give the information if he accepts, helping, which would lead to a familiar Jedi.
Well, and then where she wants to gain the throne by retrieving the Darksaber, and the whole thing with Moff Gideon and the previous season. Ugh. And so then we're kind of brought to the fact that they're gonna bring us to Ahsoka Tano, which is our Jedi in the field. So
yeah, but do we have any clips here from this season? This episode, I should say.
No clips, Sage says.
No clips.
So
yeah, we do have clips, guys. We do have clips from this season, and as we go through, as you go through the panelists, we'll play the clips as each one touches on the things that you touched on before, right from the very beginning, actually. So let's start at the beginning with the beginning clip, Dina, of the landing, and then we'll work our way through our panelists.
Here we go. Nice and easy.
I just can't wait. I can't wait till it's my turn. I can't wait.
Go ahead and start with Mark and work your way.
Oh, seriously?
There, guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, calamari had on a freaking Christmas sweater. Anybody pick that up? He had a Christmas sweater on, for God's sake. Oh my God. This episode, some of you guys know this, but I have a huge crush on Bryce Dallas Howard. Okay, who directed this episode. And if you saw the re-entry scene, that was a nod to her dad in Apollo 13. The same re-entry scene that was seen in Apollo 13. She put that in for this episode. But I can't get over the Christmas sweater. Anyway, so this was a turning point for everything Mandalorian related, because as we saw from last season when Moff Gideon had that freaking saber that belonged to Mandalore, in this episode we see the sister of the deceased Queen of Mandalore claiming her birthright. And now we know all this stuff is going to go full head with Moff Gideon still supposedly being alive and the dark saber still in existence. And then we see these three. And I'm glad that Bo Katan's character, played by the lovely Katie Sackhoff, explained to her that the Mandalorians group is a sect. They're a cult. They're fanatics, and it's like, oh, thank God, now somebody will take off their damn helmets, and then there you go. You saw the rest of the Rebel Death Watch, I think, group showed up and took their helmets off, and I was freaking fangirling like crazy over this episode. It was up till last Friday. That was my favorite episode of the entire run up until last Friday, and I can't wait to get to that one too. So that's my take.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna say it was nice to see Harry Bosch in the Star Wars universe. So Garrett,
Titus Welliver.
Yeah, Titus Welliver. Garrett, what did you think of the episode?
Yeah, that was good.
I love this episode. I think in anticipation. I spent the whole episode in anticipation because we knew that we were going to get some familiar characters coming in. And so I just kind of this season, and this was an episode where we knew something like that was going to happen. So and I really when Katie takes the helmet off and we see Bo-Katan, I just completely fangirled out. I really did. We actually have a clip of that. We have a clip here in the thing of
I peed.
Yeah, there we go. Here we go.
I think.
I was hoping that.
Everybody did. The whole internet, everybody on Disney Plus went crazy. First of all, Katie is beautiful, and to see her live action bringing this character to us was amazing. And this episode showed growth for that character. From the introduction in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, yes. That character has had a growth arc, and Katie did an interview afterwards talking about her choices for this live action version, and to show that growth. And I think she did an amazing job. So that was my takeaway from this. It was just awesome.
Yeah, and to my understanding, in Hollywood, I think this is the first time that an actual animated character voiced by the same person played the live action version.
Sounds true to me.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, that sounds true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sage, what'd you think?
Before I tell you what I think, we are not the only ones of our crew who went crazy when that happened. So I would like to share that with everybody.
That's right. We have a clip.
Cool.
Yes. Yes, we do.
We have a clip. Another one of our crew members who couldn't be with us today, watched this episode, and he was very excited.
Yes.
I knew that helmet. I would recognize it anywhere. It's Bo-Katan. It's Bo-Katan! Oh, it's Bo-Katan cream!
Thank you.
That was good.
Rochester, Life Store, Life Thunder Action Podcast for sharing your emotional reaction to Bo-Katan.
Yeah, I hope he gets over it. He looked really depressed.
But
that was my general reaction through this whole episode, and I was also with Nicole when because it was such a small scene, but the music was really good when the frogs united and they got her out. So that was really nice.
We have a clip of that.
Ramped up.
We have a clip of that reuniting. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
There's a damn frog again.
Can't hear it.
Trip her up.
I want to go ahead and bring us back up here because I do want to say this. I was expecting, just growing up in the time period that I grew up in, and of course I know Mark and Jerome can attest to this. I was expecting a little bit of fireworks when I saw the husband, because I really was expecting the wife to notice the smell of bacon on him. He had a very Kermit vibe going on.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there was going to be a little confrontation there. I could smell the pig, that kind of thing. I'm not sure, but that was what a romantic scene. That was really kind of cool.
I enjoyed that.
And I think we're on Jerome. I think
we are on Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome.
Yeah.
First off, you're right about the harbor city. It feels to me up here in Massachusetts, felt to me like Gloucester or down on the Cape, one of those old whaling towns, like say Providence and all that. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it felt like to me. But for me, this whole, I love Bo-Katan. I love the fact we got mention of a certain character from Clone Wars, okay, where Mark needs a cold shower because of it. But exactly. To me, though, because of how Bryce Howard has directed before, when they went after the Imperials, to me it felt like an old school. We're back to the Western. This was a train robbery. It felt like we're riding up, we're jumping onto it, and we're basically taking out the guys guarding the safe. This was what that felt like. It felt to me like the old a Charles Bronson film, like Breakheart Pass. It felt like any of the Butch and Sundance. This was old school Western train robbery to me, and that's how it felt to me. Was again the continuation of this is a Western, and we just got on. We took the boat to the city because we needed to get to the other side of the continent, and it was a lot of fun. I love the fact that we brought in more Mandalorians and we saw the diversity of the Mandalorian people. And you see that there's lots of hints that there's going to be something else coming up big with Mandalorians later on. So that's what felt like to me.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think this is the last time we're going to see Bo-Katan or Sasha Banks' character. I think we will see them at least one more time, and my guess would probably be the finale.
The best part about that, I think, is that she says, that we're stronger together.
Yeah,
and I think that is a pretty good reminiscence of our time right now in 2020. I think that we're all stronger together, and so hearing that kind of made me think about what Star Wars in general means to me.
Yeah, that's the core of Star Wars is family and togetherness. And
that is not always the family we are related to. It's the family we choose. So,
yeah.
All right. Okay, guys, that is segment 3, episode 3. Thank you to our esteemed co-hosts from Reels and Heels, Brian Wensloff and Nicole Jobin. And we're on a break. So when we come back, we will dive into season 3, episode 4, which is the most recent episode. When we come back, I know that Mark's score on this, for those of you who follow Mark B. Lee on Facebook knows, Mark doesn't ever score anything high. And he ran out of fingers, he ran out of toes, he ran out of all the body parts, and he just gave it the highest score ever given to anybody. So when we get back, we're going to talk about episode 4. In the meantime, stay tuned and stay logged on because we'll be right back.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
What was it you promised your old man?
Never give up. Do something they'll never forget. I'm afraid I am a coward. I'm sorry for everything.
Meg,
This is my
you'll
moment.
be missed.
If I had done this a long time ago,
A true movie-land tragedy.
it would have saved a lot of pain.
Peg Entwistle, known for her spectacular Broadway performances and a promising movie career, is gone.
They'll never forget this.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Us Love Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
And we're back, everybody. All right, guys, we have been talking this whole episode about The Mandalorian Season 2. We're bringing it up, we're recapping, we're catching up, we're looking back, we're enjoying, and we're reminiscing. But this is now the most recent episode that we have, Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 4. The title, the episode title was what?
The Siege.
The Siege. And now, this is great. This is an episode that was not only returning Carl Weathers to the screen, but also directed by, I believe. Is that not right?
Yes, it was. He did direct it.
And as is appropriate, if Apollo Creed is going to direct, you want to see some fight. And there was plenty of fight here. There are also plenty of cute little Easter eggs and reveals here. As our Mando returns to the city where our Carl Weathers character is, we find some familiar faces from season 1, and we also find out there's trouble right here in River City that needs to be taken care of in the form of an Imperial base nearby, to which we don't know anything about other than there's some leftover Imperial troops there. Our heroes get together and they assault the Imperial base. And when they get inside, they find some interesting things, and including, I think, one of my favorite reveals, because, again, it's not only a nod, it ties the Star Wars universe together. So one of the things we see are the cloning experiments going on, which I think is great. I know our panel will probably talk more about. But what struck me with that was we get a peek at why they want the child, why they want Baby Yoda. That race is very strong. They actually use a term that has got the internet all riled up, especially the generation of people who grew up on the prequels. They say that the child's M count is very high, which for those who are fans of the prequels, is probably a reference to the midichlorians that tie the Jedi so strongly to the Force. So we know those are high. We see the cloning tanks going on. That is a great Easter egg and a great reference to the future. Some 15 to 20 years after the events that we're watching right now, we know that what the cloning experiments have delivered to the universe, which include things like Snoke, a failed clone of the Emperor, and then more clones of the Emperor and the Emperor himself. So we know where this cloning technology is going and why a high M count is so important. And so that was a really great thing. But mostly this was great action and adventure, and it was great Western fun. We get to see our band, if you will. Again, it's another heist film. They're going to destroy this Imperial bunker, this Imperial base, by sneaking in, taking out some stormtroopers, which is always fun. I will say they still can't shoot, but they are getting a little bit better than the clone troopers. And if you guys remember, the Mandalorian is a great place to deal with this evolution, because the clone troopers all had the same exact genetic defect, and it was a follow-up that we saw to an accident that happened on set. In The Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett bumps his head on the ship going in. And after that, we see that in the movies where the stormtroopers will bump their head on things all the time. And then in the prequels, we go back and we see Jango Fett bump his head on the ship in the same place. And so they all have this visual acuity problem. It's passed on genetically. We get to see in the stormtroopers.
Well, you saw that same problem in New Hope.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly so.
And you didn't know they were clones back then either.
No, you didn't know that back then. So we did get to see a little bit of that, and now we see that the troopers are now in their progress of being replaced. The clones are being replaced by the stolen children, if you will, that we'll get in the First Order. So in that replacement, their shooting is getting a little bit better. But it still takes at least 100 of them just to hit one person. So it was a great adventure flick. I enjoyed it a little bit, and what I think I enjoyed is the humor. This season, everybody has so far talked a little bit about how this season, the episodes we're talking about, seem to be kind of like westerns. And they had that old West feel to them. To me, this had a very Firefly feel to it this season. Yes. Because it's kind of the Space Western, which is apropos, considering that was the premise of Firefly, was Star Wars in the Old West. But that being said, it started out with a little bit of humor, and I really enjoyed this. Sage has a clip that is a little bit of humor that was injected into this episode right from the very get-go.
Try this one. Okay, did you have the wire? Hey, you get the wire out. The red wire. No, the red one. Yes, good. Now, you're going to...
I had images of Baby Groot trying to set the bomb in Guardians 2.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my Lord. But yeah. This was great, I think, because this is what happens. I have the kids have been helping me with projects around the house for as long as they've been around. And this is what happens when you have a child help you with a project. So it happens almost just like we see it. So, guys, I'm gonna turn this over now to each one of you guys to talk about season 2, episode 4. Let's start with Brian and Nicole. So we're keeping things rotated around.
Well, I got to say, first of all, Carl, where's my sequel to Action Jackson, brother? He did a phenomenal job on this episode. And first of all, I didn't know that T-shirts and watches and blue jeans were in the Star Wars universe. But yeah, this was very. I've lost for words. The episode, I mean, we see Cara Dune
This is
again.
happening to you a lot.
Yeah, this is happening to me a lot.
Yeah, I was very glad to see Cara Dune again.
She's one of my favorite characters, and I'm glad that the show as a whole, because one of the things that has bothered me about Star Wars is they keep shrinking the universe, and I like that we're seeing new characters, new places, and The Mandalorian is really doing it. And this episode, we're seeing, an old base from the Empire, and they want to go and shut it down. And
well, he says, I thought this was
like an old mining.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, I thought it was. And it's just little things like that. But the when the stormtroopers are shooting at them, it was very reminiscent of
the shootout with Han Solo.
Yeah, and so I kind of could see it in my own head, and that's probably why I missed the T-shirts and jeans and the watches. But Brian was able to stop it.
Watch T-shirts and jeans in Star Wars. He gonna get it. He'll get what he wants. Guys, that's awesome, guys. I had an order in my head, and I'm gonna go out of order because I want to save Mark, because I know he had this wonderful score. So, yes. Wait, Mark is muted. Unmute Mark, please. There we go. Try that again, Mark.
I actually muted myself. Yes, if I could go last, I really appreciate it. And then when we're done, our special guest will be joining us.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys.
So keep going.
So we're going to go ahead then, and we're going to go on to Jerome Connor from Saturday Morning Cartoons. Jerome, what were your thoughts on season 2, episode 4?
Well, I mean, Mark and I had discussed this yesterday about this and how he felt this was old school Star Wars. And I'll be honest, at first he didn't feel that. And then I remembered how my family and I watched this. And there was a couple of scenes where Mando is one way and the rest of the team's going another. And in both my wife and I both looked at each other and said, we think they're splitting up. One's on level 4 and one's on level 5, right out of Star Wars. And then if you listen also carefully, you can still hear the same voice used by the guy that was guarding the tractor beam in one of the guys as they walked across the screen. And then there was the other scene, and this is where I agree with Mark that it was very Star Wars, was when Carl Weathers' character, and I apologize for not knowing the names, but he takes out a TIE fighter and goes, "I got one!" And both Carl and I both went, "Don't get cocky, kid." You know, I mean, that was the same thing that we were thinking. And so, yeah, this was very much like Star Wars. It had a real good feel to it. This, I think, had to be one of the better of the 4 episodes. Gina's character, Mark and I both fight over who's got the more passionate crush on her. But yeah, it's I got to say this was a really positive episode.
That's awesome. That's super. Then we're gonna go up to Sage here in a minute. I know she's frantically searching for different clips from season 2, episode 4. There are so many to choose from, though. It's really, really hard. Although we do have one, but in the meantime, Sage, let's go ahead and see what Sage. What do you think of this episode?
Okay, I have to agree with Jerome. There were so many throwbacks to everything that we loved from Star Wars, and it was just so much fun. I loved that we brought our guy back, and it was like, oh, I don't want to go back in Carbonite, all right? And whoa. It was really fun to see him, and they picked on him through the whole thing, but, you know.
He actually had some skills.
He did have some
skills.
I did appreciate that. But the first thing he did, though, and after Jerry rigged the door and he got open, and they're like, well, are you coming here? Or are you going to wait for lava? And so he's like, no, I'm going with you. And he dropped his tool. And I was, sorry, that sounds... And I thought, why did you do that? It would come in handy. You should take that with you and put it in a pocket or something. So, but I had so much fun with this episode, and all the chase scenes and everything was just so much fun. And I'm really glad they didn't make the Stormtroopers aim any better, because
that's true. Okay.
And Baby Yoda got to go to school and steal cookies.
Before we hear from Mark, I want to go ahead and
steal the cookies. I love that.
By the way, Baby Yoda in school, that was awesome. That was a great time. Before we hear from Mark, we have a clip from the discovery of the cloning chamber inside the Imperial base.
Forward operation base. I thought it was. No, this isn't a military operation. This is a lab. We need to get into the system and figure out what's going on. What about the reactor? Do it.
Just do it.
Poor guy. He just kind of. What's great about that, though, again, is we've all talked about how the Mandalorian is expanding the Star Wars universe and is bringing in new characters and new places. But one of the great things that it's doing is also it's pulling this thread, and it's pulling this thread all the way through the prequels and the original trilogy and to the sequel trilogy, and it's tying things together. The animated series that are out there from the Star Wars universe, comic books, and all of the different threads. And this is acting as this kind of connective tissue, and it's so much fun to watch. We are on to our final panelist for episode 4, season 2, and that is the one and only from MBL Entertainment. Here's Mark B. Lee.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey guys, I'm juggling right now, and I'm having difficulty sending out special guest this link. I think I probably did. So Sage, stand by. He should be dropping in as soon as he can. Let me tell you a little bit about. I'm going to go into the episode, but how do I screen share? Our special. He was in episode 1. of this season, but you got, how do I share screen? You guys know his face. If I could bring it up. He was actually the bouncer at the door. Am I doing this right?
You did it right. That's what we got.
He was also the lead in Pirates of the Caribbean. He was head of all the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. This is Isaac Singleton. He was the bouncer at the front door during the first episode. He was also involved in the fight once they were in Fight Club. We are texting and emailing each other all at the same time. So hopefully he'll drop in. So Sage, if you can keep an eye open for him. In the meantime, I am hard on scores. If the writings doesn't thrill me, if there's things I've seen and heard before, if it's totally cliche, you don't impress me much. I rarely give anybody a 9 or a 10 or an 8.5 on up to a 10. And I just have to say I gave this episode an 11. With Carl Weathers directing this episode, it was totally fantastic with him. And I love it when directors are also in the scenes as well, because they're concentrating on their lines as well as directing a bunch of people. I am just impressed that everything that I saw during this time or during this episode, my apologies. Hey, Isaac. Hey, brother, did you get the link? I emailed it. No, go for the last one. Refresh your email, and you should literally have the StreamYard link right in the last message that I sent to you about 2 minutes ago. Well, no, just go to your mail and click on that. However, and if you're going to come in on your iPad, I'm sorry, Garrett. My apologies, guys.
No worries, guys. Mark is actually going to logistically work this one out. Go ahead and mute that so he can actually have a conversation there. And, Mark's going to work out what's happening with our special guest. In the meantime, again, season 2, episode 4. The amazing thing about this, let's go ahead and bring our panelists up again. Yep, go ahead. And push Mark down so he can talk. That's good. So guys, as we take a look at this and Mark works out the logistics over here, what were the single biggest highlights for each of you? Okay, great. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and go ahead and finish our panel out, round out our panel here. Okay. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Isaac Singleton to the screen. All right. Isaac, man, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing?
I'm hanging out.
I'm doing great, man. We were just, we are going over this latest episode of Mandalorian. And I thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us for a few minutes, man.
It's my pleasure.
How you doing, Isaac? Good to see you, brother.
How you doing?
You look good. I can redesign that entire house for you. Just let me know. And I want that damn TV. I want that TV.
That's look at that. I'm digging the TV over
here. Back there. That's my real.
Yeah. Go ahead, Garrett.
Okay. So Isaac, all of our panelists here have been talking about their favorite bits of this episode. What was your favorite part of working?
Say it again now.
All of our panelists have been discussing their favorite parts of watching this episode, but what was your favorite part of working it, man?
You know what? It was just a lot of fun to be on that set because the way that scene looks is not the way it looks in real life. But I guess you know that from I do a lot of film and TV and that scene, because when you're doing it, you don't know what it's going to end up looking like on screen. And I mean, that didn't look like that at all. It was great. I mean, John and them know exactly what they're doing over there.
Yeah, they have got such a well-oiled machine. What's that like? You've worked on a lot of projects. What is that like coming into such a well-oiled machine and being a part of that mechanism now?
You know what? It was just so much fun. I mean, I love this business because I like to get paid to do what I'm doing, but the fun aspect of it is great also. I mean, just to be able to work with all these different collaborators. I mean, from the makeup artists to the guys who were doing the stunts to the people who were doing the background, as far as people who were even setting up the scenes, and you know, everybody at that it all came together as one big puzzle. And as you see, it came out pretty good. I mean, but all the episodes have been pretty good also. So,
I got a question for Isaac.
Yes, Mark, please.
Buddy, you now know you're part of the Star Wars universe. So congratulations on that, being a part of the Star Wars universe. But who offered you, how did you get offered the role? And did you in fact have to audition for that role? And I noticed that you're painted all green too in that. So
I'm painted green. What else did you see? I'm not.
Mark's television is set for those crazy football colors. So
I'm watching my Ravens right now. We're into overtime. So, how did you get offered this role, Isaac?
You know what happened with that was I used to work in Florida also, and there was a guy I used to work with in Florida. I used to do live theme park shows there. I did an equity show over at Disney called the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. And one of the guys I used to work with, he used to do the show with. Now he's come out here to California also, and he's working and he's doing the stunt aspect of things. And he ran into me one day. He said, "You know what? I'm working on this shows, and one day maybe I'll hire you to do something," because he's seen me do a lot of acting since I've gotten out here, and he's been working in the stunt side of things. And anyway, about a year and a half later, he called me up and said, "Hey, we might have something you might be interested in working on." I'm like, "Okay." I didn't even know what it was at first. He said, "Just go to this studio." I went to this studio up in Silmar, and they fitted something on my head. And I said, "Yeah, it fits. It works great. And you look like the part." I'm like, "Okay." So then I heard 2 months later, he called me again and said, "Okay, well, they're ready for you to come on set now." Like, hey, back in. And that's how it happened. They liked it. They liked how I looked in the uniform or in the costume, and they know what my voice sounds like and all. They said, "Yeah, we want you to play this." And that's when I found out exactly what it was. But still, I couldn't tell anybody about it because it's hush hush, and too many people want to know everything about everything these days. So a lot of the shows I work on now, I can't say anything about until it comes out because they want the fans to not to know, because everybody wants information right nowadays, and we got to keep things hush hush so people can be surprised. So that's what happened. So we did that last November, December, and it just came out. So I had to keep it out that long.
Well, you have that very, very iconic voice. Of course, that voice we heard first in all your Pirates of the Caribbean movies that you did. And as soon as I heard that voice, it didn't dawn on me when I saw, Mandalorian came up to the front door. And as soon as I heard that voice, and I'm like, that's Isaac. And I waited for the credits to come up to make sure that I was right, because nobody else has that voice. I said, that's Isaac. And only until this after.
I'm glad that Mark stuck around for the credits, because that's the worst phone call in the world, is when you're like, "Oh, I know that's Isaac," and then Mark is on the phone. He's like, "Isaac, dude, congratulations, you're in the Star Wars universe." Isaac's like, "What are you talking about, man? I have no idea."
I have been doing that to people. People have been calling me saying, "Oh, I read that part." I'm like, "What part are we talking about?" Yeah. Okay, the Mandalorian. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just kidding."
Yeah, well, look, buddy, at least I don't have to walk around telling people I got tentacles hanging from the top of my head. Okay, so
it's really funny. I researched. I had a friend. I have some friends that are really deep in the Star Wars, and we researched what those tentacles were for. And as far as the Star Wars lore is concerned, and those there's some needs for. There's something that those chemicals can do. So
I don't even know. This is new. I don't even know what those things are used for. I wish somebody would explain it to me.
Well, if this is a family show, so I won't say anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're too young, Mark. You're too young.
Not the rest of our family yet.
Oh my God.
Isaac, thank you so much, guys. I'm gonna go up the line if you don't mind, Isaac, and get the guys to ask some questions if they want to. Jerome, Connor, do you have any questions for Isaac?
I mean, to me, it's like I'm a Star Trek geek, so I understand all the prosthetics that you had to wear. My real question is how much did you sweat in that thing? That thing looked hot.
You know what? I didn't sweat hardly at all on that thing.
Really?
We were shooting, like I said, in November, December. We were on a sound stage, so they keep the prep temperature nice and cool in there. When I was offset, I was nice and I had my own room with my own room where I dressed in, had a bathroom in there like that, couch, table, all that kind of stuff. So I could hang out in there. And no, wasn't sweaty at all. That whole costume was well done. The makeup pretty much is from my forehead back. So that's my face you see, but the makeup is from probably here back to the
right.
Okay.
And yeah, the way the makeups are now, they've come so far from way back in the day when it was just flat, rubber that just sits on your face and sweating through it. No, it was great. It wasn't hard at all.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Nicole, Brian, man, any, questions for Isaac?
Yeah. What was it like working for Jon Favreau? He's one of my favorite directors in Hollywood.
And that's what I was saying. I mean, he just knows how to have a set run well, and it was great working with him. It truly was. And he doesn't need to yell. He just tells people what he wants. They get it done. We do it. I love those kind of sets because it just ran quite smooth, quite easily. People would come up with ideas. He'd listen to them. They'd go about their day and just get the scenes done. It was perfect.
That's awesome. Sage?
Well, we've all been watching Mandalorian and talking about what our favorite parts of the show are. What are some of your favorite things about the Mandalorian?
You know what? I like the fact that, for me, it's fun to see what it looks like when it comes on stage or on the screen as opposed to what it was like when you were really shooting it. So, like, even that little pod that the child floats around in, knowing what it looked like before and seeing what it looks like afterwards is really neat because, it doesn't look like that when you're shooting. But because it's not just floating along, but just seeing how they made it look like it's floating was fun to me. I like to see.
Wait. Brian and Nicole don't know that.
Okay, so they don't understand that I use my Jedi mind trick to make it
perfect. Awesome.
Some Jedi power. That's another reason why I want Isaac on set because he can make the thing float without us doing anything with it. I'm like, okay, well, thanks. I'll do double duty. I'll add
Isaac, now you had said you did a little research to find out what the tentacles and things were for. So you get to call and we have a part for you in The Mandalorian. We love your look, brother, but we need you to have tentacle dreads. What was your thought?
That's what I'm trying to say. I had no idea what I was going to be wearing, and I had no idea what I was even going to be playing. The guy offered to say, "Hey, will you come in for this fitting?" I'm like, "Sure." I came.
Yeah.
And that's
you were set up. You were set up, man.
So it's like, hey, whatever it is. All I know is I can come back as another character too. So,
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't have tentacles on your chin. Okay. I mean, you got away from those characters. So. Yeah.
Awesome. Isaac, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a few minutes, man. We really do appreciate all your work. We appreciate you being here. Any projects that I know within the confines of Lucas and Disney, the only thing on the internet scarier than an Imperial trooper is a Disney attorney. So we know there's not much you might be able to say, but anything that you can tell us about that you're working on, brother.
Okay, well, I don't know. Mark was talking about my voice, and I have worked for Disney a lot because I know you work. I work in the Marvel universe too, right? Or do you not know?
Oh yes.
Well,
yes.
tell everyone that
because I do the voice of Thanos for all of Marvel's cartoons and all their video games.
Yep.
Right.
So I will not confirm nor deny, but there might be another game coming out with Thanos in it. But I mean, I'm not sure. Might have done that a few weeks ago, might not have. Who knows? But, different things like that. So I still enjoy doing various things for Disney. I have done a lot for them, and they've hired me a lot throughout my career. To be honest with you, even back in Orlando when I was doing the theme park shows, I worked for them at that equity show I was telling you about called Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. Then I moved out here, and I've done Pirates and all these other films and TV through them too. So yeah.
That is awesome, man. Mark, thank you for introducing us to Isaac today, man. We really appreciate it.
No, hey, Isaac, I'll email you or I'll text you something. We got to get together. I got to head out west at some point, especially when all this crap is over with, and we'll get together and talk again.
Yeah, because I haven't seen you since we were in Germany. That's how long it's been.
I still look the same, okay? I'm still handsome. So.
No, wait a minute. Isaac, I don't know if you got to see it or not. It was on Facebook, but there was a period during this 2020 when Mark had the best Corona fro I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. It was fabulous.
It really.
Hey, he doesn't know anything about hair. I don't know why you bringing that up. Why you want to tease him if he has a fro and he could never have a fro, okay?
I had hair. I have to be honest with you. I had hair.
Yeah, okay.
In Orlando, and it was, it was a high top fade.
You were 2 years old. Don't tell me that.
Wait. He just went with the high top fade, which means that he just dated all of us that laughed. All the kids up here on the top are like, what is that? But the rest of us, like, I remember
what happened. This is what happened to my hair. I went and auditioned for this show, and this movie was going to go to Puerto Rico. And I remember this is one of the happiest feelings at the time I ever had. I'm walking back to my car, and one of the PAs came running out and chased me down at my car before I got to my car. They said, "Isaac, they love you. They just wanted to know if you'd be willing to shave your head for this. I'm like, and on the outside, I'm like, yeah, I'll shave my head. And so I'm like, okay, I'll shave my head. I didn't know what it looked like underneath. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sharpay heads with wrinkles all over. I didn't know what it looked like. So anyway,
Sharpay head.
We landed in Puerto Rico, and the first day they're like, okay, we're taking you straight to makeup and hair, and we're going to shave your head. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's like boot camp, right? You know, they just shave it right off.
They shaved it off. It didn't look bad. And then when I got back to Orlando, I just kept it off, and I started getting even more work. So I'm like, shoot, this is working without hair. And it costs less to not have hair, too. I have to go to the barber every 2.5 weeks or every 2 weeks to get it, get the fade tightened up. You got to do that. Keep the fade. Anyway, since then, I've been working without the hair, and it's been great. So, it's still there. I just got to shave it every 3 or 4 days. That's all.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much,
Hey,
Isaac.
Isaac, thanks for the short notice, man. I really appreciate it. I only thought about you today before the show went on. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I like women. All right.
That's why I had to keep the fade tight. You know what I'm saying?
Now we know what Mark's been doing at his keyboard during the whole episode. He said he likes women, so he started with Katie and he worked his way down. Finally, he's like, I can't get anybody to say yes. Hey, Isaac, what are you doing, man?
And it's funny because I just happen to look at my phone because I do these readings every single morning, because I want to keep my skills sharp as a reader, and it just also expands my mind too. So I'm doing a lot, and I'm on day 801 now, straight doing this. So
wow.
But anyway, so I just happen to look at my phone. I was going to go and walk in and start watching football. And I said this. I was like, okay, I'll go watch this. So I'm happy you invited me to come on in. Thank you.
Well. Thank you, buddy. I'm glad you looked at your phone because I've been texting all morning. Damn it. Anyway, so I appreciate it.
Sounds a lot like my mom. Guys, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Isaac Singleton. Thank you so much, Isaac, for being with us today and for sharing your experiences on The Mandalorian with us as we have reviewed and revisited and revised probably a lot of what happened in season 2 so far. We'll be watching as season 3 enters. Yeah, go ahead, Dean. Dina's afraid. She's like, do we move him? What do we do? I don't know what to do. So, yeah, guys, thank you guys, all of you, so much for being with us. Thank you to everybody.
Thanks, Isaac.
Real quick, Mark, I'm going to bring Mark real quick. Mark, come on up here real quick because I want to know, give the audience your final score on Mandalorian season 2, episode 4.
Episode 4, season 2 of Mandalorian, I gave it 11 out of 10, and I never do that. I never do that.
That never happens, man.
Never happens. I was so much into the Star Trek. Star Trek. Oh
my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
We broke the internet just now.
I did. I was so much into the Star Wars episode in that Star Wars universe in that episode. It just blew my mind. The episode just blew my mind. It was so well written, so well executed. I was very, very happy. It wasn't cliche. And I just enjoyed it to no get out. Carl Weathers, I didn't know if you knew that, Isaac, or not. Carl directed that episode. And I'm like, wow, okay, they're going to move it. Just like you, Isaac, I'm sure they're bringing people who do good work. I'm sure they're going to bring them back for more work. So, yes, I gave that episode an 11. I don't care if no one else did. It doesn't matter. This is me, and it was an 11. I loved it.
For all of you out there in Star Wars land who enjoy the franchise, this was an amazing episode. It's an amazing second season to this show, which is doing all of its jobs just fantastically. Watch more. Yeah, watch. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We've been on the air for about an hour and a half, and we want to wrap it up. And as we do, I want to thank Nicole Jobin and Brian Wenslaw from Reels and Heels right here on HWWS Web TV for being with us today. I want to thank Jerome Connor from Saturday Morning Cartoons. I want to thank Mark B. Lee from Saturday Morning Cartoons. And of course, as we just told you on the internet, you should know this, Mark knows everybody. On HWWS Web TV. And also Seijia, who is here.
It's weird. I'm here.
Oh, you're there. You're there. I don't know where you are. Anyway, Seijia for being with us here on set today. And of course, thank you so much to our very special guest, Isaac Singleton, for being with us here in the studio today. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for tuning in. Keep coming back to see who we're hanging with next.